All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to demystify one of the purest forms of cannabis concentrate you can find, solventless. We are going to break down exactly how a plant gets turned into this potent, amazing final product, using nothing but nature itself. So, you've seen the plant, right? And then you see this pure, beautiful, golden concentrate. But how in the world do you get from one to the other? And maybe more importantly, how do you make something this pure and this potent without using any chemicals at all? Well, that's what we're here to find out. The whole idea behind solventless extraction, really, it all boils down to one single unbreakable rule. Quality in, quality out. What you start with, well, it's everything. And this is exactly what makes the whole process so honest. There are no chemicals to hide behind, No solvents to cover up any imperfections or to artificially pump up the potency. The final product you get is a direct, unfiltered, totally pure reflection of the plant it came from. There's just nowhere to hide. So where does that quality even come from? Well, it's all in the trichomes. Those tiny crystal-like little glands. That's where all the good stuff, the cannabinoids and terpenes, live. As you can see, full nugs are just absolutely loaded with them, while shake and trem, not so much. The takeaway here is super simple. More trichomes from better flower means a way more potent and flavorful final product. Okay, so we've got our amazing trichome-rich material. The big question is, how do we get those little guys off the plant without any chemicals? This is where the journey splits. We've got two main, totally mechanical paths to choose from. And here they are, our two paths, side by side. It's kind of like fire and ice, right? On one side, we have heat and pressure. On the other, we've got cold and, well, a little bit of shaking. These are two completely opposite forces, but they both have the exact same goal, to cleanly break those precious trichomes free from the plant. So let's start with the path of heat. This process is all about making rosin, which is a concentrate made by literally squeezing the essential oils right out of the plant. Seriously, just think of it like a really high-tech, powerful juice press, but for cannabis. The whole thing is actually pretty straightforward. First, you take that high-quality flower or hash and put it into a special filter bag. Then that bag goes into a press where you apply some very controlled heat and a ton of pressure. And almost instantly, boom, that pressure squeezes out the pure golden rosin, which is ready to be collected right away. So how does that even work? Well, on a molecular level, it's super cool. The heat gently turns the resin inside those trichome heads into a liquid. It basically just melts the good stuff. Then the pressure does its job and forces that melted oil out through the filter bag, separating it cleanly from all the plant material. It's just physics, no solvents needed.
All right, so that was heat. Now let's do a complete 180 and explore the total opposite approach. Let's walk the path of cold. This is a process that relies on freezing temperatures to create what's called ice water hash, or sometimes bubble hash.
This process starts by dunking the cannabis into a bath of ice-cold water. Next, you gently stir it around, which makes those now frozen trichomes just fall right off the plant. Then you carefully pour this icy, trichome-filled water through a series of filter bags, and each bag has a different screen size. What you're left with in those bags are the pure, separated trichomes. And the science here is also fascinating. The freezing temperature doesn't melt anything. Instead, it makes the trichomes super, super brittle and fragile. And because they're so delicate, even just a little gentle stirring is enough to make them snap cleanly off the plant material, almost like tiny little icicles breaking away. Now, here's the thing. Whether we're using heat or cold, there's this one single concept that really controls the purity and the quality of what you get in the end. And it's kind of the secret weapon of the whole solventless world, the micron. So what the heck is a micron? Well, you'll see it written with this little symbol mu. It's just a unit that measures the teensy tiny holes in the filter screens we've been talking about. The best way to think about it is like a really, really precise kitchen sieve or a pasta strainer. The size of the holes determines exactly what gets trapped and what gets to pass right on through. And this is where it all comes together. See, those smaller micron screens, we're talking 25 to 45 mu, have such tiny openings that they catch only the purest, ripest trichome heads. This gives you incredible purity. On the flip side, the larger micron screens catch a wider range of stuff, including little bits of stalk and other particles, which means a less refined product. It's why some hash makers go after very specific micron ranges. They're able to isolate the best of the best. So here's your practical takeaway. The next time you see that little mu followed by a number on a product label, you'll know exactly what it means. It's a direct signal of how refined that product is. And while it's not a perfect rule, a lot of the time a smaller number means a purer, more focused concentrate. So what's the big deal? Why go through all this trouble just to go solventless? It's because what you get is the pure, unadulterated essence of the plant. There is zero chance of any chemical residue, and the rich, complex flavor profile is perfectly preserved. You're getting the truest, cleanest expression of that specific strain. And that really brings us to our final thought. You now know the difference between the path of heat and the path of cold, and you're in on the secret of the micron. You have the key to understanding what real purity is. So the question is, what are you going to look for next time?